The slimes in Teju village had begun multiplying, and now they came in multiple colors. It wasn't really noticed until a purple slime drank a barrel of alcohol, which angered the villagers. The girls decided to hold a trial and found it guilty. However, Frorum explained it's just a slime and won't reflect on its actions no matter what punishment they give it. The girls realized this and decided to let it go since it was just one slime. Over time, the red slime started joining them during feasts and drinking with everyone. As autumn arrived, Hiraku and the others were enjoying a hot pot. Hiraku suggested adding seafood to make it taste even better. The girls wondered what he meant by seafood, and Hiraku mentioned things like cod, crabs, monkfish, and kombu seaweed. Rue told Flora to start researching those things. Tia was surprised that crabs could be eaten because they're hard. Frorum explained that there is a harbor city called Shishato within the demonic kingdom, and they could reach it by going south from the village. Lastismun decided to fly there, and Frorum went with her as she knew a merchant there. 3 days later, Lastismun and Frorum returned with Michael Goraun, a merchant from Shishato. After introducing himself to Hiraku, Michael showed him the fish he brought and explained that the kombu he requested is usually thrown away by their fishermen, but he had told his men to collect some. Michael explained that his visit had 3 goals: to properly greet Hiraku and thank him for requesting to do business with them, to suggest more opportunities for them to trade goods and do business, and third, to become the official government purveyor for the village, meaning he'd handle all trade between the village and the outside world. The girls explained what it meant, and Michael showed them a list of products his company trades. They further discussed the proposal. In the evening, before leaving, Michael mentioned wanting to discuss alcohol next time, but Lastismun yelled at him that he couldn't have it. Scared, Michael backed off the subject and left. Lastismun flew him back to Shishato, and as Michael looked back at the village, he felt scared just thinking about it. 3 days earlier, one of Michael's men informed him that there was a visitor who wanted to speak with him. Being busy, Michael wondered why they couldn't handle it. However, the man explained they had requested him by name and brought goods from their farm. Michael was surprised they brought goods, as it wasn't their usual practice. He suggested referring them elsewhere, but his intuition told him not to ignore this. Meeting with them, Michael was surprised to see Frorum from the Chrome family and was glad he hadn't sent her away, as he might have lost his head. He was shocked to learn the other girl was Lastismun, the crazy dragon. They brought him goods and explained they wanted him to buy them, and in exchange, they wanted a few things they needed. As he checked the goods, he saw apples and realized they were the fruit that had entered the demonic kingdom and everyone was talking about. Each one could sell for several silver coins. He then saw other fruits and was surprised at how many they had brought. He had believed it to be quite risky, but realizing he would make lots of money, he got quite happy as it outweighed the risk. He agreed to find them what they wanted and asked his man to bring him the best products from the market. He wished to go with the girls on their way back. When he heard they were heading toward Teju village in the Forest of Death, Michael started to feel uneasy. He was scared of everyone in Teju village except Hiraku. After the deal, he felt he would be rich but wasn't sure his body would be able to handle it. Later, Hiraku made hot pot with seafood and everyone loved it. Another dragon appeared in the village. Hiraku wondered if it was related to Dorium, but as the dragon attacked and mocked Hiraku, he threw his spear at it, making it seem like he missed. Then he threw another and took down the dragon. The dragon turned into a young girl and surrendered. Dorium showed up and explained she was Hakurin, his older sister. She blamed Dorium, saying he had said he was giving Lastismun as a bride and wanted to marry her to the mayor one day. Dorium tried to deny it, saying he might have said it while drunk. Hakurin came to see what kind of man the mayor was and also heard he was quite strong, so she came to check him out. Dorium said it wasn't just that, she was mostly there because she was angry. Hakurin confirmed, saying Lastismun was 900 years younger than her, yet she would marry before her. Hiraku was okay with her coming to test him, but since she made a mess, he made her clean it up. After dinner, Hakurin wanted them to play mahjong but suggested they bet on something. Dorium wondered what Hiraku could bet, but Hiraku explained he couldn't bet anything, so he could only think of some punishment, like strip mahjong. Hakurin, Dorium, and Lastismun all agreed to play as they were quite competitive and didn't like losing. They started playing, and soon Hiraku found himself in his last piece of clothing. He thought he had a chance but ended up losing and was forced to take off his pants. Bizzle revealed that Hakurin had also been seen in Hiraku's village. Blatz worried even more that they had enough power to overtake the kingdom. The demon Lord Gargard shared that his daughter had been in a bad mood lately and hadn't spoken to him the whole morning. Blatz then ignored the demon lord and said they needed to gather funds and prepare their military force, but saw that Randon had run away again. Hakurin decided to stay in the village and was quite skilled at any job she took, although she complained about anything she was asked to do. In the end, she became the teacher for the kids, teaching them reading, writing, and math. One day, Lamia girls led by Junia showed up, bringing gifts and asking Hiraku to spare their lives. Hiraku didn't know what they meant, so the Lamia girls explained that the younger wolves and spiders had decided to clear a dungeon they found in the forest, which forced the Lamia to flee their homes. Hiraku decided to trade the gems they mined and gave them some of their crops, and the Lamia went back to their original homes. Hiraku would be happy if they kept trading, and the Lamia agreed. However, Hiraku asked them to wear some clothes when they came because they were topless. The Lamia then started Lamia delivery service and carried the traded goods for the village. Some girls, Rosalind Griach, Roj Mamonrose, and Clackass Bugle, convinced the Demonic Kingdom's Princess Yuri that Hiraku's village was planning something foul and intended to use Forum as a hostage. Yuri decided to defeat the village and save Forum. Bizzle visits Forum and informs her that Princess Yuri intends to launch a military campaign. Rosalind, Clackass, and Roj convinced her to do so. Their targets, Hiraku's village. Forum finds the trio's decision rather foolish, especially since she had sent them reports detailing the village's strength. Bizzle explains that the reports were so exaggerated that they seemed unrealistic. He believes if Forum tries to intervene, they'll see her as a traitor. However, he urges her to come up with a plan to stop them. With the attack scheduled for tomorrow, Forum decides they just need to demonstrate the village's power without mobilizing its residents. They pay a group of Lamia girls led by Junia to intercept the 300 men heading towards the village, and 3 Lamia easily force them to surrender. As a result, Rosalind, Clackass, and Roj are brought to the village. Forum explains that they want to join and work for the village under her supervision, with Hiraku having the authority to dismiss them if they harm the village. Hiraku asks about the 4th girl, who sits on a throne, and Forum explains she's just there to observe for now. As Hiraku leaves, Forum tells the girls that if they work honestly, their past actions will be forgiven. She also insists they hide their identities and that Princess Yuri will be treated like any other villager. Forum then gives them a tour of the village. However, being nobles, the trio initially plans to escape, but encountering inferno wolves and spiders changes their minds. Fearful of being dismissed, they start working and assist with Forum's tasks, eventually becoming known as the Town Hall Girls. Seeing the village's peacefulness, Yuri regrets her intention to bring war upon it. Forum wonders why the Demon Lord didn't intervene, and Yuri explains she heard Forum was a hostage and was concerned for her. As childhood friends, they agree Forum will inform Yuri about everything and treat her normally. Later, Yuri helps with farm work and even enlists the trio's help. When it's time for Yuri and the girls to leave, the trio decides to stay, feeling they haven't repaid the villagers' kindness and still have much to learn. In reality, they simply enjoy the village's amenities and lack of political stress. Back home, Demon Lord Gargard complains to Bizzle about Yuri's newfound dignity and busyness. Bizzle suggests Yuri is becoming interested in politics and diplomacy, remarking on how children grow up before their parents realize it. Hearing adult, Gargard assumes Yuri has met a man and wants to harm him. Bizzle warns this attitude will make Yuri resent him, which calms Gargard. Meanwhile, in Hiraku's village, they have a surplus of food from their pre-winter harvest and no space to store it. Lastisman suggests sending some to her father, which Hiraku agrees to. Hakurin then suggests sending her parents as well. She explains her father lives in the north and her mother in the south, revealing her father to be the Emperor Dragon Dusu and her mother the Hurricane Dragon Raymer. Lastisman delivers crops to her father and then to Shishato City. On her way, she exterminates a monster attacking trade vessels. Hakurin heads north, encountering people who want to move to the village, led by Ya, who are mountain elves. They've been struggling to find food and seek refuge. Hiraku accepts them and Ya assures they're skilled hunters. Later, Hiraku learns of a new dungeon and sends a survey team to investigate. He also finishes the male bath and uses it. Outside, Forum catches the trio of girls and forces them to confess their intentions. They admit they wanted to get close to Hiraku and improve their status. Forum tells them they can't climb the ranks that way. The survey team returns, confirming a blood viper inside the dungeon. The elves want its meat for survival, as it's valuable and said to improve vitality and marital relations, and bless with children. Hiraku decides to discuss it with the village. Winter arrives, and Hiraku visits Rue, who isn't feeling well. Sina suggests she might be craving sour food and shares a similar case from the village, where it led to pregnancy. Rue explains her symptoms and lack of appetite, despite being able to eat tomatoes and fruits. Hiraku wonders what happened to the other person, and Sina says they congratulated them on the baby. Rue's pregnancy is going smoothly, but it's causing her to refrain from transforming. With the maids insisting on waking up before Hiraku, he's begun to rise a bit later to allow them some rest. As the village has grown, breakfast is now split into 3 groups. Hiraku joins the first group, and during breakfast, Gran Maria informs him that 3 killer rabbits attempted to infiltrate the farm, but Kuro and the other wolves took care of them. They remark that it's fortunate the rabbits keep trying, as it provides a steady food supply. Hiraku notices that the angels are always composed and proper, but off-duty, they become lazy and rely on others for food and laundry. After breakfast, Hiraku begins his work, spotting some garden pests and eliminating them with his trusty tool. Taking a break for lunch, which isn't common there and took some time for people to get used to, Hiraku observes that the elves usually skip breakfast and were initially nervous about eating in the morning, worried about food supplies. The beastmen also weren't accustomed to daily meals and initially thought they were treated well because they would soon be thrown out. After lunch, Hiraku continues working. While having more people usually helps, tasks like tilling new fields or planting crops are handled solely by Hiraku with his almighty tool. He plants some flowers to bring color to the village. Besides farm work, Hiraku uses the tool to create various items to help villagers and is thankful to God for it. He also sometimes joins military training. Although he doesn't believe the village needs it, it's the maids who insist. Seeing them use it as exercise, he decides to join, but he's not skilled with any weapon except his tool. As it gets dark, Hiraku's workday ends, and he heads inside for dinner. The maids serve him a new dish, confident in its taste only about 20%. Hiraku suggests they only present dishes they're at least 50% confident in, but the maids refuse to waste food. Forum gives Hiraku a letter from Yuri expressing her desire for apples and a dress. Forum explains that Yuri liked the clothes made by Zabuton and wonders if Zabuton can make more for her. After dinner, Hiraku takes a bath, usually being the only one there. After bathing, he often feels uneasy as the elves seem to stalk him. Even in his room, he feels their presence and tricks them into revealing themselves before thanking God for his life and falling asleep. The dwarves are always hard at work making alcohol. Hiraku expected them to be constantly drunk, but they take their job seriously and don't drink while working. They also ask him to increase grape production by 3 times, and Hiraku agrees. Sina comes running to inform Hiraku that there's a strange man. Hiraku goes to check and finds the man bowing to the wooden god statues Hiraku had made. Hiraku wonders how he got in without Zabuton or the angels seeing him. Rue recognizes him as the progenitor, Vargreif, who is happy to see her. Vargreif explains that when he heard she was pregnant, he didn't believe it, but it seems to be true. Normally, they continue their bloodline with blood pacts and pregnancies are rare, but he states that children are treasures and tells her to take care of it. Hiraku wonders who he is, and Rue tells him to think of him as her grandfather. Vargreif explains that he is 4,000 years old and the secret to his long life is to erase his memory from time to time, except for important things like his name and clan. Vargreif apologizes for entering the village without notification, explaining that he had only intended to look around and leave, but the statue below the tree caught his attention as it was a splendid likeness of the great creator. Hiraku wonders if he's met God before, and Vargreif confirms it, saying he met him when he was born, and God told him to do his best even though he was born with a slightly abnormal body. Hiraku figures the abnormal body means he's a vampire, and Vargreif guesses the same. Vargreif explains that he has been trying to remember exactly how God looked and it must be great to live up to such a statue. Hiraku realizes he wants the statue and explains that he can't give it to him since it belongs to the village, but he will make him a new one. After making him a statue, Vargreif likes it. He wonders how much it would cost him, but Hiraku doesn't want to take money for something like that. Vargreif then states he will have to think of what he can do for him as thanks. After leaving the village, Vargreif visits a large temple. The head priest there is happy to see him, noting it's been 50 years since he last visited. Vargreif states he wants to enshrine a statue and asks for the best spot. The priest explains it is the spot of the creator god statue made by the master sculptor Torok. Vargreif then wants to move it to put the new statue there, and the priest agrees. Seeing the statue, the priest is impressed, stating it must have been made by a famous sculptor and wonders about his name so they can honor it. But Vargreif suggests not to, as Hiraku doesn't seem the type to appreciate that and he doesn't want to disturb his peaceful life. Vargreif states they quietly support him and tells the priest to inform the other temples to be respectful of Teju village. Vargreif sends Hiraku a magnificent piano. Hiraku doesn't want to take it as payment, but Vargreif insists it's a gift to celebrate Rue's pregnancy. Hiraku decides to put the piano in the dining hall. The 3 hall girls realize it's a piano that can only be found in large temples and is used for big ceremonies. They decide to play it as it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. However, they end up too scared to play it as they fear they may ruin or break it. They ask Hiraku to get them a piano to practice on. Hiraku doesn't understand why they don't want to play on the current one, but he asks Michael go around to get him a practice piano. Many of the girls end up enjoying the piano and try learning to play it. However, Hiraku has trouble sleeping as they also play it at night. Hiraku calls for a lunch break, but ends up continuing to work until Rue urges him to stop and join them for lunch. He wonders if she should be moving, but she explains it's fine and that she heard she needs to exercise. All the girls are also quite kind and concerned about Rue, but she explains she is fine, except for her inability to drink alcohol. The three killer angels ask Hiraku to sell off all the alcohol. Hiraku then learns that the girls decided to give up alcohol for Rue, but the thought of not being able to drink is driving them crazy. Because of that, the angels believe that selling the alcohol may solve the temptation problem. Hiraku believes they will regret selling the alcohol as it's not something they can produce quickly again. He suggests an alternative, telling them to consider how alcohol changes taste the longer it ages. Donovan and the other dwarfs ask Hiraku if they have done something wrong since no one wants to drink alcohol anymore. After Hiraku explains, Donovan is happy and suggests they don't need to lower production, but actually increase it. Hiraku agrees, noting that he is sure everyone will drink more to make up for lost time later. Rue's pregnancy is going well and the time to give birth almost arrives. Everyone in the village starts giving her various gifts. That evening, Rue feels it's time, and later she gives birth during the night. In the morning, Hiraku meets his son, Alfred, and holds him. A week has passed and Hiraku recalls how everything started from him living alone to now being a father. He isn't sure if his son is half vampire, as at the moment he looks like a human. As he recalls everyone giving presents, he decides to do something to thank them for their kindness. He gathers the girls and explains he wants to start a new system. He gives them reward medals and states they can trade them for things they like. Tia realizes that's like money and Hiraku confirms, stating he figured that one day the village will need its own currency. Until now, Hiraku has been taking all the goods and distributing them to everyone. If someone wanted something, they come and ask him, but with the increased population, handling all the transactions by himself became impossible. They wonder if they can't just continue trading goods between them. But Hiraku gives them an example where different people put different value on certain goods, which is why he wants to use currency. Since it will cause turmoil if they suddenly switch to currency, Hiraku plans to start by giving the coins as reward medals. Hiraku gives everyone 3 coins, however, as the wolves and spiders are too many, he gives each group 30 medals. Some of the people traded them right away, while others like to just have them and not spend them. Hiraku starts getting more custom orders of furniture and toys and feels he actually now works even more than before. Soon they have a big feast to celebrate the birth of Hiraku's son, where everyone is finally able to drink again. Rue brings a wooden hammer that Donovan had gifted her before, and the dwarfs bring a big barrel, stating it's a new kind of wine they made and states they need to use the wooden hammer to open the barrel. Donovan wonders how the wine is, but Rue explains that she still can't drink as she is breastfeeding the child, but she is fine watching everyone else drinking. Donovan then suggests they bottle some of it so they can drink it later. Hiraku likes the idea and states they can keep it until Alfred is old enough to drink and drink it with him. At the demonic kingdom, Beazle tells them that Hiraku's village had a baby. They had finally realized they can't defeat the village and wonder how to keep a good relationship with them. Blatt suggests they marry someone from the kingdom to someone from the village, but the demon lord mistakes it that they want to marry Yuri and is against it. Tia, Hakurin, and Frarum tell Hiraku that there are some people who want to move here as they want to escape a war. Hearing that the number is over 100, Hiraku believes they will need another village in order to take in that many people. Rue then states they should do it. The girls agree as that means more people can move in and suggest they call it the Great Tree Village too. Hiraku states it will be a lot of work, but the girls are ready to give their best. Hiraku agrees and they start thinking where to start it.